The small diner on the corner of Maple Street was nearly empty that rainy evening. The lights flickered softly, casting a golden hue over the scratched tables and old photographs hanging on the wall. It wasn't the kind of place billionaires usually walked into, but tonight, one of them did. Only, no one knew who he was. Nathan Cole, founder and CEO of one of the largest hotel chains in the country, had spent the entire day sitting in boardrooms, surrounded by people who smiled at his money but not at him. He was tired, not the kind of tired that sleep could fix, but the kind that made a man question everything, his choices, his empire, even himself. So, wearing a simple hoodie and jeans, he decided to disappear for a few hours. He parked his car a few streets away and walked aimlessly until he saw that diner. The sign outside blinked weakly, Maggie's Place. Something about it reminded him of the small-town cafe his mother used to work in before everything changed. He pushed open the door, and the faint sound of rain and a tiny bell above the frame followed him in. Behind the counter stood a young woman, maybe mid-20s, wearing a faded apron. Her eyes were tired, her hair tied loosely, and yet there was a strange kindness in her face. She smiled, though it was the kind of smile that hid exhaustion. "Good evening, sir," she said softly. "You can sit anywhere you like." Nathan nodded and took a corner booth. She brought him a menu, apologizing quietly for the limited options. "We ran out of a few things," she said with a shy laugh. The manager cut our supplies again. He looked at her name tag, Emily. "That's fine," he said. "I'll take whatever you recommend." Her face brightened slightly. "Then you'll have the meatloaf. It's my favorite, when it's not burnt." She smiled again, and for a second, he saw the warmth behind her tiredness. As he waited, Nathan glanced around. The place looked like it was barely surviving. The refrigerator behind the counter hummed loudly, one of the lights near the entrance had burned out, and the radio played an old country song. Yet, there was something comforting about it all, something real. Emily returned a few minutes later with his food. "Sorry if it's not perfect," she said, setting the plate down. "It's been a rough night." He noticed her hands trembling slightly. "You all right?" She nodded quickly. "Yeah, just double shift. Rent's due tomorrow." Nathan's chest tightened. He'd heard those words before, from people his company had quietly pushed aside when new hotels replaced small family businesses. He used to justify it as progress. Now, sitting in front of this girl who looked like she hadn't slept in days, progress didn't feel so noble anymore. He ate slowly, watching her move from table to table, always smiling, even when a customer snapped at her for being slow. When she thought no one was watching, she slipped into the back and wiped her eyes. A few minutes later, a man in a stained shirt stormed out of the kitchen. "Emily," he barked. "That couple just walked out without paying. You're covering it." Her face went pale. "But I didn't even serve them." "Doesn't matter," the man growled. "It's coming out of your paycheck, or you're out." Nathan clenched his fists. Emily lowered her head, whispering, "Please, Mr. Dalton, I really need this job. My son's at home, sick. I'll cover it next week. Please, don't kick me out." "Next week," Dalton scoffed. "You said that last time. Get your stuff. You're done." The diner went quiet. The few customers looked away, pretending not to see. Nathan stood up slowly. "Excuse me," he said calmly, walking toward the counter. "How much was their bill?" Dalton frowned. "Why do you care?" "I asked how much." The manager hesitated. $32. Nathan took out his wallet, pulled out a few $100 bills, and set them on the counter. "That should cover the meal. And maybe fix that light over there," he added, nodding toward the flickering bulb. Dalton stared at the money. "Who are you?" "Just someone who doesn't like seeing good people treated like trash," Nathan said coldly. Emily looked stunned. "Sir, You didn't have to. He turned to her gently. What I have to do, Emily, is eat in peace. And I can't do that knowing someone's crying in the back for something they didn't do. Her eyes welled up, but she smiled weakly. Thank you. Nathan finished his meal quietly while the rest of the staff whispered. Before leaving, he placed an envelope on the table and wrote something on a napkin. Then he slipped out into the rain. When Emily came to clear the table, she found the envelope. Inside was $5,000 in cash, and a handwritten note. Greater than, for your son's medicine. You deserve better. N.C. She gasped, covering her mouth. Her hands shook as tears rolled down her cheeks. She didn't know who N.C. was, but for the first time in months, she felt hope. The next morning, Nathan walked into his company's headquarters, a 50-story building of glass and steel. His executives were waiting for him, suits crisp, smiles rehearsed. Good morning, Mr. Cole, one of them greeted. We finalized the closure of those 5 diner locations you requested. The properties will be ready for redevelopment by next quarter. Nathan paused. Which diners? Independent ones. Mostly family-owned. Old places that aren't profitable anymore. Something snapped inside him. Cancel the closures. The room went silent. Sir, you heard me, he said firmly. Every single one. And starting today, we're launching a new program. Community investment. I want grants for small local businesses, restaurants, shops, anything that's struggling. Full funding, no interest. Find the best people running them and help them grow. The executives exchanged puzzled looks. But, sir, that's not profitable. Nathan smiled faintly. Neither is greed. He walked to the window, gazing down at the busy city below. The rain had stopped, and the sunlight glimmered off the glass buildings. Somewhere out there, a single mom named Emily was probably holding her son a little tighter, believing that kindness still existed. A week later, a letter arrived at Maggie's place. Emily was cleaning tables when the mailman handed it to her. Inside was a formal-looking envelope stamped with a golden emblem, Cole Enterprises. She frowned, opening it carefully. Greater than dear Ms. Emily Parker, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as a partner for our Hope Through Hands initiative, a new community program supporting hardworking individuals who make a difference in their neighborhoods. Your diner has been chosen for a full renovation and relaunch under your management. Training, supplies, and all expenses will be covered. We believe in people like you. Sincerely, Nathan Cole, CEO, Cole Enterprises. Emily dropped the letter, speechless. The realization hit her like a wave. The man from the diner wasn't just a kind stranger. He was the billionaire himself. That night, she sat by her son's bedside, tears streaming down her face. You know, sweetheart, she whispered, brushing his hair back, angels don't always have wings. Sometimes, they wear hoodies and eat meatloaf. Months passed. Maggie's place, reopened with new lights, new furniture, and a new spirit. Locals began to pour in, not just for the food but for the warmth Emily brought to every plate she served. A small plaque by the door read, "Greater than rebuilt with kindness. For those who never give up." One evening, as she was closing up, she heard the familiar chime of the doorbell. She turned and froze. Nathan stood there, same simple hoodie, same gentle smile. I heard the meatloaf's better now, he joked. Emily laughed through her tears. It is. Thanks to you. He shook his head. No, thanks to you. You reminded me what real work looks like, what heart looks like. They sat together at the counter as rain began to fall again outside, just like that first night. But this time, there was light, inside the diner, inside them both. Nathan looked around and smiled. You know, he said softly, I used to think success was about how high you could climb. Now I think it's about how many people you lift on your way up. Emily nodded. And sometimes, she said, all it takes is one person who sees you when no one else does. The bell over the door chimed once more as another customer entered, laughter filling the small space. Outside, the rain kept falling, but inside, Maggie's place, hope was finally home. And for the first time in years, the billionaire who'd once felt empty realized that true wealth wasn't measured in money, but in moments like this, when helping someone else made you feel human again.